So chapter 3, money and credit. As you people last week not listened my voice properly. So once again, I recapitulate the lesson. We never thought much about the money. It is just there. Suppose if you want money, you will think about the money in handbag or in the daddy's purse. And if you do not want money, it is just there only. We won't think about it. When you want money, when you need something, to buy a pencil, sharpener, book, or anything eatable to buy, then only you need money. So with that money, you can buy whatever you want. But do you know how this money has come into the society? And why should we study about the money? Because money doesn't make everything, but money is important for us to sustain our life, to lead our life. And why should we study about the money? Because money wants a good income. Money wants a good income in our future. Because when you need something, we need money, and this money will gives you a good income in our future, and good income gives you good future. So that good future will be calculated in terms of money. And how can you measure the money? How much we earn, how much we spend, and how much we lend, and how much we borrow, how much we save, how much we donate. This is the money we can measure. How much you are earning. For example, you are earning 25,000 rupees per month as a salary. Out of 25,000 rupees, how much you are spending for your own expenses? Suppose 10,000 we are spending. That is called 10,000 you are spending and 15,000 left over. Lend, and one of your friend will ask some money as a loan. So out of that 15,000, you can give him 5,000 as a loan for interest. Borrow. For you want money, then you can borrow from some others. You want 50,000. So your friend, you can ask money to your friend. So your friend will give you 50,000 rupees, means you borrow the money from your friend for interest. We save. So 10,000 rupees you are spending. So remaining rest over 15,000 is your savings. You donate. You will go to your temple. And in the temple, they are asking some donations. And now this Saturday, 22nd, we are getting Vinayak Chaturthi. Everywhere you go, the people are asking donations for celebrating the Vinayaka Chaturthi and Vinayaka idols to keep. That means you can donate the money. 500 rupees you donated. This is all the means of the money only. And how the person will get economic wealth. Economic wealth means if they can manage the money, and no way less importance than earning. How much they earned, they left it, but how much they have to save. Your savings will gives you your economic wealth. And while you are studying about the money and the credit means loan, we have to make some wise decisions. What type of decisions? Decisions related to economy, that is called as economic decisions. Like allocation. Allocation means spending the money on a particular thing, that is called allocation, or mostly the allocation is called funds in the companies. Companies means some companies, they can allocate the money to charities, that is called allocation. Mostly in the companies we can use the word investment. Your earnings are more, so you can invest money in buying flat and plot and gold, like that investment. Savings, how much you earned, how much you spend, the remaining money with you is called the savings. And expenditure, for example, 25,000 rupees salary, 10,000 rupees you are spending for your monthly expenses, that is called expenditure. And 15,000 you are not spending, that you put in your bank account, that is called savings. And with that 15,000 and 5,000 rupees every month you are paying as a chit fund, means you are invested the money to buy a plot, that is called investment. and your company, suppose you are working in Infosys software company, and your Infosys software company will give some share to charity funds, that is called allocation. So all this is called as economic decisions. And if you want to know about all these economic decisions, so we have to study about the money. And how did money evolve? How did money evolve? Now we are using 100 rupees, 2000 rupees, 1 lakh rupees, and we are using coins also, like 5 rupee coin, 10 rupee coin. Recently 1 lakh rupee coin also released by the RBI, but it is not coming to the market actually. And so coins we are using, notes we are using at present. But what about in the olden days, in the primitive ages? In the primitive ages, people did not use the money. Why? Because their desires are very limited. If you take early man, the early man was no need of exchange money. Why? Because why no need of exchange money means? Because early man was a nomad. He doesn't know, because nomad means he is a wanderer. He wandered from one place to another place in search of food and shelter. So whenever he need food, he hunt the animals, and he brought the food, he ate it. So next afterwards, he used to wear the clothes. What type of clothes he wore? Skin of animals. Before that, he used to wore the leaves of the plants. So he doesn't want the money itself. There is no need of exchange money. And whenever the man started using the money, with the growth of civilization, what is the meaning of civilization? The cooked food, the man is eating cooked food, wearing clothes, settled in a permanent place, reading and writing, known the language, culture, tradition, all these things are come under the civilization. So whenever the man know about the civilization, then only he started off collecting other goods, whatever he need from the producer, and he exchanged the goods produced by others. Then what happens? A person making stone tools gives the tools to the hunter, and whatever he need, he got from the person. So suppose a hunter is there, he want tools to hunt the animals, so he will go to the tool maker. He gave the hunted meat, and the tool maker will give the tools to the hunter. This is called as the barter system. So what is the barter system? Barter system means exchange of goods. Barter system, commodities are exchanged with commodities without the use of money. Commodities means things. The things exchanged with the things without the use of money. And whenever the things are exchanging by the person to another person, both the parties have to agree to sell and buy each other commodities. This is called double coincidence of wants. For example, I will take two persons, A and B. Okay, A and B means suppose a person is having shoes. He was a shoemaker. Then what happens? The shoemaker make the shoes. That is person A. And this shoemaker making the shoes, he want to buy the wheat. Then he went to another person B. That person is a producer of wheat because he was a farmer. So that person is B. And this person is having wheat, but another person is there, that is person C. But this person C is making the pots. So A is making shoes, B is a wheat farmer cultivating the wheat, and C is a potter. Here what happens? The A person went to the B and he asked, I am a shoemaker, I have shoes, so you are a wheat farmer, so I can exchange my shoes to your wheat. But wheat farmer said, no, I don't want your shoes. If A will give the shoes to B, if the B will give wheat to A, then no problem. This is called double coincidence of wants. Again, I'm telling, both the parties have to agree to sell and buy each other commodities. Shoemaker If he will exchange the shoes to wheat farmer, if wheat farmer want these shoes, then wheat exchange to shoe, shoe will exchange to wheat. But here the wheat farmer doesn't want the shoes, he want to buy the clothes, then it is not called double coincidence of wants. Then he, because he want clothes, then he said to shoemaker, no, I don't want shoes, I want to buy the clothes only. Then the wheat farmer have to search the person who is selling the clothes, then only he can exchange his wheat to the cloth farmer. Here potter is there, person number C, but this potter, then this potter, he wants shoes, but I don't have wheat. This person want to sell his pots to the shoes, but I don't have wheat also. He doesn't have the wheat and he want the shoes. So, but the shoemaker doesn't want the pot. Then what happens? Their wants are not matched, mismatched. So double coincidence of wants. What the person is want to buy, the next person also want to buy the same thing. Exchange. So money eliminates the need of double coincidence of wants. So because there is no money, there is no way. So nobody is not buying the shoes from the shoemaker, and the wheat farmer he doesn't want to exchange to the he doesn't want exchange his wheat to the any another person because he want to buy the clothes only. So that means one person want should be matched with another person, then only you can get the things to buy, and in middle the money eliminate the double coincidence of want. See here, I will give shoes for a new hammer. This person is want to give the shoes for a new hammer. Then I will give rice for the shoes. This person is saying I will give rice for the shoes, but this person want hammer, but this person is saying no, I don't want hammer, I will give rice only for the shoes. So shoes means he can give only rice, but this old man want the hammer, then only he can give the shoes. And this third person is what, I have fish to give and I need rice. But this person, I will give you fish because I need rice, I need rice. And here no exchange possible as requirements do not match, because three people have different requirements, so that is what mismatch. This is called as mismatching, and this will not come under the double coincidence of wants, because three people wants are different. This is a barter system, this is the problem in the barter system, because this person want hammer and this person only will give the rice, and this person will give the fish because he need the rice. But then what happens, I have fish to give and I need rice. If he will give rice, if he will give fish to him, then he will give rice. But this person want shoes only, this person doesn't want fish, but he need rice, but he need shoes, and he need hammer. So three people wants and desires are different. So this is called the drawback in the barter system. And now, what are the main features of the barter system? Barter system is the oldest exchange system. It is the oldest exchange system, because olden days there is no currency, there is no coins, nothing is there. This is in the ancient period. In history, ancient period, medieval period, and now we are in modern period. So ancient period is the oldest exchanging system. Goods and services are enhanced or swapped for other goods or services directly. Enhanced goods or service. In olden days, if you see, during the king's period, the farmers will give the grains to the people, the potter and the barber, the dhobi, all the people, the farmer will exchange only the grains, because farmer is having more grain. So whatever the crop he cultivated, that he exchanged. Swap also same meaning only. So what are the goods and services they are exchanging, that should be changed because of the goods. There was no common measure of value. There is a how to measure, how for one pair of shoes, how we can measure the value of wheat, because one pair of shoes is less than the 2-3 kgs of wheat. So we cannot measure the value, because one thing value is much, one value is less. And no money or other medium of exchange was used. In those days, there is no money. And except the barter system, they did not use any another exchange. And then what is the main essence of barter system? Double coincidence of wants. Double coincidence of wants. Again, I'm telling, what is the person is selling, the another person also want to sell the thing which the first person needs. Means both parties have to agree to sell and buy each other's commodities. That is called double coincidence of wants. This is the main thing in the barter system. And what are the advantages of barter system? Advantages of barter system: it is a direct exchange, and therefore needs could be satisfied immediately. Suppose shoemaker will get the wheat and wheat person will get the shoes, then what happens? Satisfied, because he need wheat, that wheat farmer need the shoes, so their needs are satisfied, immediately exchanged, no problem. Then no medium of exchange is required. So whatever the first person needs, he got from the second person, and what the second person need, he got from the first person. Then what is the necessity of exchange in between them? Nothing else. Then low transactions time. Low transaction time is required, which helps the people to avoid the risk of change in value over time. Less time, it will takes very less time, because give and take and give and take policy. Very less time, and there is no risk also in exchanging the things. But both of the people want should be matched. These are the advantages of barter system. It will come under 3-mark questions. And what are the limitations of barter system? Limitations of barter system means need of double coincidence of wants. What first person is expecting from the second person, the same second person have to be take from the first person. So double coincidence of wants must be there. Lack of standard measure of value. Actually, what is the measurement of the value? How can you measure one pair of shoes with wheat, and how we can measure that weight with clothes? So that means there is no standard measure of value. Problem of divisibility. How can we divide the things? Divisible. How can we divide the things? That is a problem. And problem in storing value and transferring value also, because it is also a problem for storing the things, and it was also facing the problem to transfer. How can you transfer? And how many pots will make the value for one pair of shoes? So this is also the problem in the barter system. Deferred payment was not possible. Deferred payment means definite. This is the fixed price for this thing. That is not possible in the barter system. Vegetables means, okay, 1 kg brinjal, 1 kg lady finger, it is carries equal value. But one pair of shoes with how many pots, it will compensate or equal, or one bag of wheat is equal to how many pairs of shoes or how many pots. This is called as the problem in the barter system. And deferred payment means definite payment, it is not followed in the barter system. And next, coming to old forms of money. So afterwards, ancient period, the people used the barter system. Later on, the coins were used. Coins were used mostly in the 2500 years old back. We used the coins. That coins are punch marked coins. Those are punch marked coins. These punch marked coins means, I will show you in the last picture after completing the explanation. Punch marked coins means there will be a picture. Punched means not minted on the coins. Olden days punch marked coins were used 2500 years back in our country. And all these coins are made with different precious metals, valuable metals they used. Those metals like gold coins, silver coins, and copper coins. You know, in Muhammad bin Tughlaq period, he used bronze coins also, because while he is changing his capital from Devagiri to Delhi and Delhi to Devagiri, all the money in his treasury was empty. So he was unable to use the gold and silver coins, and later he used the bronze coins. That is why Muhammad bin Tughlaq is called as madman of Indian history. Like any another emperor in the country, in our country, nobody did not change the capital from one place to another place and another place to this place. He is the only person that is in the Indian history, madman of Indian history, Muhammad bin Tughlaq. And in olden days also, the people used cattle and grains also for exchange. They exchange the things for cattle and for grains also. Mostly all the people in living in the villages like barber, dobi, next any person who is doing the work in that country, tool maker, potter, carpenter, weaver, all the people, they can give the things by exchanging the things to the farmer by using grains only. So like that olden days, the people used cattle and grains for exchange. Later on, currency was introduced. In modern forms of money include paper notes and coins. After that, we are using the coins and the paper notes. This is called, see the picture, punch marked coins. This is called, the picture means punch means that figure will be printed on that. These are called punch marked coins. And this was the coins used during Gupta's period. Gupta period is called as golden age in India. Why it is called as golden age in India? Because all the people in those days used only gold coins. If the people used the gold coins, means that empire is very rich. So Gupta empire is the golden age in Indian history, because here king used as a horseman coins, king as a lion slayer, king and queen type, fan-tailed peacock, like that different types of coins they have used. Early stage they use the gold coins. Anything you want to use, then during the time of British period also, as you have studied in 8th class history, Britishers period also, Britishers, whatever the cotton and the handmade clothes are in India, for all those clothes they exchanged the gold coins. Like that, so much gold was brought from Britain to India, and our goods are very valuable, and for all those goods they exchanged with gold only. So these are the different types of coins used during the due to the Gupta's period. And next, the Muhammad bin Tughlaq. This is what Muhammad bin Tughlaq coins. So Muhammad bin Tughlaq starting time they used gold coins only. Whenever the Muhammad bin Tughlaq is used to change the capital from Devagiri to Delhi, from Delhi to Devagiri, he spent all the money for capital exchange, and he spent more money in maintaining army also. And he was unable to control the empire. So much money was spent for army for exchanging the capital. So starting he used gold coins, later he used the bronze coins. And next one, now modern forms of money. Coming to at present now. This is our modern Indian coins, 20 pies. And most probably you can't see 5 pies, 10 pies, 25 pies, 50 pies, 1 rupee coin, 2 rupee coin. These are the modern Indian coins. If you see the coin here, which year it was minted, and they can measure the value. This is 20 pies, Bharat, given in 2 languages. One is national language, that is Hindi, and another one is in international language, that is India. So 20 pies, Bharat, India, and this is our national emblem, 4 lines. So that's national emblem. It will be minted on the coins. This is the modern forms of the currency. So this money is accepted as a medium of exchange. Why money is accepted as a medium of exchange? Because the currency is authorized by the government of the country. Why these coins only we have to use in our country? It was authorized by the government of the country. And who will issues the currency notes on behalf of the government? Which government will give? Central government. Central government only. As you have studied in the federalism lesson, union list, there is currency is there. Defense, currency, foreign affairs, all will be controlled by the central government. So uniform currency should be used all over the country. So that is why it will be authorized by the government. Which government? Central government. So in India, the RBI, Reserve Bank of India, issues currency notes on behalf of the central government. RBI is the banker of all the banks. RBI is the head of all the banks. And this RBI only issues the currency notes on behalf of the central government. And there are having some rules and regulations regarding about this currency. What are the rules and regulations? As per the Indian law, no other individual or organization is allowed to issue the currency except the central government. Any citizen or any government or any organization, any government means state government is there, local self government is there. So local self government or state government or any other organization or any individual not allowed to issue the currency except the central government. So currency all over the country is under the control of the central government, that is RBI. And the law legalized the use of rupee as a medium of payment that cannot be refused in settling transactions in India. What is the legalized money here? What is our currency? Rupee. For example, if you go to Japan, their currency is N. Okay. And if you go to America, their currency is dollars. If you go to United Kingdom, that is called Britain, their currency is pounds. That means that government fixes, that is their medium of payment. So anybody in our country will refuse to pay the transactions in rupee, means they refuse to pay the transactions in rupee, they will be punishable. And no individual in India can legally refuse a payment made in rupees. So the rupee is widely accepted as a medium of exchange in India. Why rupee only accepted? Because that rupee only we are accepted as our currency. So this is about the currency, and this is the modern forms of money. And these modern forms of money we are using for all our daily activities.